Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick video about selecting a container for a hydroponic system, kind of the different shapes and sizes, and then what they could be used for, and my recommendations as far as the size that you'll need. Well, it really depends on what you're going to use the container for. There's two parts of a hydroponic system that you could use a container for. It might be the reservoir, which holds the water and the nutrient solution, and then that gets pumped to maybe a grow chamber. And so depending on what type of system you're designing or building, it depends on what the container is going to be used for. Some systems, like an ebb and flow, will require two parts. Other systems, like a deep water culture or a floating raft, may only need one container. So that's important to think about, especially if you're worrying about cost and if you're going to make a lot of these with students. And so I've used everything from small shoebox containers, $1 at Walmart or any other dollar store, and they come clear, but you do have to paint them black so the algae doesn't grow. And then I just use a piece of tape to create a kind of a viewport for the water level. And then you cut the hole, and this would be what I would use if I was doing a small plants such as lettuce or some herbs. I've stepped it up to a larger container, such as this, where I can do about 6 plants. Depending on the size, again, I'm doing smaller plants, or these are young plants that will get transferred into a larger system. And again, they come clear, paint them black, and maybe a stripe for a viewport. If we talk about size, what size would you need? HomeHydroSystems.com has some recommendations for you. So a small plant, let's say lettuce, some herbs, maybe flowers if you're doing flowers, would need a ½ gallon per plant, per small plant. So depending on the size of the plant, this is the minimum that you could go. But if you're talking a medium plant, 1.5 gallons for each. So if you're doing a medium plant, something like this 6.5 quart would do 1 medium plant. But I've used them and done two plants, and eventually transferring into a larger system if I needed to. And it seemed to do well. Again, come in black, or come in clear, and you got to paint them black. I've been very pleased with those, and that's a hefty 6.5 quart. Yeah. For larger plants, you're looking at 2 and 2.5 gallons per large plant that you need to have as available for your plants. And so that's where, if you're getting up to this 18, if you're going to buy an 18 quart or 18 gallon, you're looking at 6 very large plants. Maybe something like a tomato or a cucumber, something that absorbs or drinks a lot of nutrient water. Some other containers that I really like to use are this Sterlite. I think it's a 20 quart. What I like about this is it holds 3 gallons right about here, and I can mix up nutrients in it, and I can use it as a demonstration piece. And it's just a nice size, kind of medium plants. One of my favorite containers is this Sterlite file folder box. So these would this is what you get to put file folders in, and it has the ability to hang. But what I like about this is that it's very straight-sided. And so if you're doing something like a floating raft where the water level rises and falls, and the raft literally falls with the water, what's nice is that the sides are not tapered very much, and so that they don't get stuck and will still allow it to drop with the water level. I just picked up this 3 gallon container this week. I'm really excited about this one. I love the large Rubbermaid ones. And there's a difference between maybe the hard plastic that has ability to maybe crack if you drop it, or it gets brittle over time. But the Rubbermaid ones cut very easily when you're cutting holes in the lids, like this. And they have kind of a ridge inside, so if any water gets in it, it'll just drain back into the holes, rather than a flat surface such as this one, where it'll just roll right off or onto the ground. And so I'm anxious about using this one, but you may use a combination of containers. So for example, you might have the 18 reservoir, but then the 10-gallon grow chamber where the plants are actually growing. I've used 2 of these as for an aeroponic system. I had this one on the top for the grow chamber, and then one stacked right below it, I use that as the reservoir. Now, obviously, I need to keep that well filled up so that I don't drain the bottom system as the water is draining back into here. And so it's possible to grow plants in a small container. It's good for a classroom, works really well, but if you're going to step it up, then I guess you're going to need a larger container. Now this is, these containers can be used for the grow chamber or the reservoir. And so like you can use a 5-gallon bucket for even maybe an aeroponics or a drip feed where the water is dripping down on the plants and you're running a hose up through. 5-gallon, 3-gallon buckets work fine for that. But some systems, you might have a different size growing chamber, where like in my one, I use a square fence post, and that's my growing chamber, and then I have a large 15 or 18-gallon container below for the reservoir. You might see plans where they use a PVC pipe, but again, that's the grow chamber, not the reservoir. And so just keep that in mind. One thing I like to think about is what is the minimum I can do, because one, size is an issue in classrooms. You don't have a whole lot of size. You also don't want to waste a lot of water, where if you're swapping out 18 gallons once a week and you can drop it down to maybe a 10, that's a lot of water you're saving, and just reinforces the fact or the benefits of hydroponics. Now it is important that you remember that you are going to have to swap out the water, especially when the plants are mature and growing very quickly. Once a week is recommended. So you have to think about, if you're doing a small system, you may have to swap it out more, or you're going to have to top it off multiple times a week. Where a larger system, the plants and the nutrients are still, or the water and the nutrients are still well maintained in a large reservoir. But a smaller one does put more responsibility on the grower to make sure that the water level and the nutrients is constantly topped off as needed. So, I hope this helps, gives you an idea that you can grow hydroponically in a variety of containers. You have everything from $1 at the dollar store to even $5. It's not that expensive for a larger container, and just cutting a few holes in the lids, and you can have a simple growing chamber or reservoir combination. So I hope this helps, gives you an idea of how to grow hydroponically, and if you have any questions, just let me know, and feel free to visit my website, the link in the description, kind of showcase a little bit more about classroom hydroponics. Hope this helps.